Hello and a warm welcome to Personal Finance. I'm Gugulethu, Cele. Now tonight we decipher a very important topic, and that's understanding the money matters and trends of millennials, their trends regarding importance of saving around retirement, how often they might change their careers, and importantly, how they need to use the power of compound interest to their advantage. To tell us more about this, I'm joined in studio by Carlo Gil, who's an executive wealth advisor at Liberty, to tell us more. Carlo, good to have you with us today, and thanks for joining us.
Good, thank you for having me.
I'm a millennial myself, so it's interesting to hear the insights that you're going to share with us over the duration of the show. But let's pick up on the basic millennial trends. From what I understand, we come from a generation where we change careers quite often, and we actually intend on working till the day we die, potentially.
Well, it seems like a growing trend where people are actually, well, millennials are actually finding that working a longer career opposed to what we used to have in the past, working age 65 and we call it quits. So what we're finding now, retirement age being stretched further, especially in our overseas markets, well, overseas countries. We find that around the world is that retirement age is getting longer and longer. You know, people are reaching age 71 and still continuing to work. And the same thing is falling into focus in South Africa, where the assumption is that we have to work until age 71. The normal retirement age is now kind of out the window. Wow.
Interesting that you mentioned that. My mother's literally on the cusp of reaching pension age, and she also looks at looking at other alternatives. But with this pushback regarding the retirement age, what kind of impact does it have on the finances and financial planning that millennials need to look to?
It completely changes everything. Opposed to having a retirement age of age 65, almost having a target. We can say that, you know, in X amount of years we're going to be retiring. Things have changed a lot. We are now hitting longer periods of time, and you know, the idea about starting earlier is becoming more and more a conscious decision for people to adhere to. Starting in early retirement is becoming extremely essential now, given the fact that we are not only living longer because of medicine, you know, the expenses that we are facing are a lot more, opposed to where we used to have single household incomes. We now with 2 household incomes and still trying to survive.
Exactly. Talk to us about the theme then, if we do stick to retirement, because we know ultimately the plan here is to start saving from as early as possible. But there are also figures thrown around what, 15% of your annual income needs to be put away to retirement savings. Is this the norm and typical trend that we see millennials sticking to, or just a guideline?
I think that we find that a lot of millennials don't actually have a guideline. You know, it's more of what they pick up in conversation, and they're not actually understanding, you know, is it 5%, is it 10, 15, what is the actual requirement? Yeah. The basis, I think the best place to start is always 10%. You know, let's start off at 10% of your income. And I think with the millennials doing a first salary, a first employment type thing, I believe that starting from that first paycheck, taking on that first employment contract, that first paycheck, and starting to do your retirement savings from there makes it a lot easier than coming back 5 or 10 years later. Taking that first salary, saying, here we go, here's 10% or 15%, whatever, and allow that to go into savings, it really makes it a lot easier because you're not used to that. Out of sight, kind of out of mind. Yeah. So you basically have that money going away, you're not used to it, so you're not expecting it.
And that leads us to what? The 8th wonder of the world, compound interest, right?
8th wonder of the world, compound interest, money working for you, kind of like your own little employee in the back, they're making your money work for you. Basically, one of our top banking institutes would say making little money babies. And that's what compound interest is really about. Compound interest allowing that interest to grow on a year-to-year basis. So let's just say, for example, if we take 100 Rand and we make it 10% interest for the year, that would be 110 Rand at the end of that year. Now, coming back on the second year, we're not making interest on just that 100 Rand, we're making interest on 110 Rand. Another 10% on that is 11 Rand for that year. And that's where we start seeing that our money is actually making money for ourselves.
I want to also take a look at the trend where we see a lot more millennials trying to be entrepreneurial and even changing their careers quite often. How do we ensure that millennials who are watching the show make sure that their retirement savings egg stays intact throughout the different avenues that they might look to take on in their career path?
That's quite a tough part, because taking on an entrepreneur role is automatically taking on a risk role.
Yeah.
You know, it's great to say I have a salary at the end of the day, and this is my fixed salary, this is my fixed savings, I've got a nice little budget in place, I know where everything's going. Taking on an entrepreneurial role, it's very tough to say I'm going to do savings at this point, but it should always be consistently part of any budget. So when you put in a budget together, be it in a personal capacity or be it in an entrepreneurial role, you should always consider having that in your fixed budget, a savings portion that allows for those rainy days or any moments in time that we find that we need to go into the little cash nest and access those monies if need be.
Exactly. To piggyback off of the point regarding financial safety or financial milestones that millennials need to achieve, we know that we live in a digital age, so we do our banking on our apps or online. Other than using the financial tools that are available as well to assist us in that note, how important is actual financial advice from credible individuals who are certified financial planners or some of your colleagues in the industry?
It's very important. We find that financial advice it's very important, and especially being a millennial. You know, we are faced with so much information out there. You know, the internet gives us a wide range of companies, different portfolios, different ideas about how to save or not to save, and the vast amount of knowledge is just overwhelming. So the best way to do it, obviously, being a millennial, starting off, everything's new to you, first salary, don't know what to do with that, first everything. Going back to the savings idea, with all the knowledge that's out there, a wealth advisor or a financial advisor, your best bet to sort of point you in the right direction. To give you an example, we have companies like Stanlib Unit Trusts, where they create these platforms that a unit trust or an investor can go onto these platforms and actually look at a little bit of a shorter list of investing to give a better idea to an investor on how to go about it. What I like as well is that what we find nowadays is that with the unit trust investment side is that everything being online allows you to gain that knowledge, logging on, creating your own profile, creating your own scenario, creating your own portfolios, and allowing you to also, not saying that the only route to go is on your own, but creating your own platform whereby you get more knowledge. And we find with millennials, they are literally almost starved for knowledge. They want to know more. True. I don't want you just to tell me what's going on. I want to know why it's going on, or why it's doing this, or what has happened, and the reason why we're going up and down in our portfolio values. And that's why I find it so great that with the Stanlib portfolios or the Stanlib platforms, we have access to that information at a click of a button.
Fantastic. I'm happy that you allude to that, because I think another thing that millennials need to also understand is how to adapt or rejig their portfolio and wealth and investment strategy, especially during the different changes in their lives, because we grow up, we get married, you have kids, in some instances you get divorced, or you need to prepare for a death, or estate planning. Is that also a particular element that millennials need to pay attention to?
Definitely. We definitely have to look at those type of avenues. We look at different scenarios in life, as you mentioned earlier, Gugu, where we have entrepreneurs. That's a life-changing experience. Getting married, we all know that's a life-changing experience. Yeah. And children, and so on and so on. So these are the things that we can prep for. It's not to say that we don't understand them and we don't know what's around the next corner. We can prep for all these things. Children's education, your personal savings, bonds or purchasing of a house, all those life changes.
My shoe budget.
Shoe budgets. Hey. Jimmy Choo shoe. We do have all these different avenues that we can create savings for, and also for the unknowns. And that's what's nice, is that with these different platforms is you can create conservative platforms for like a shorter term, and then your longer term ideas. And these are all different platforms that you can create, opposed to saying that there's only one type of investment idea out there. This is the only option I have.
Fantastic. Well, one thing is that you've certainly said quite a bit and highlighted a lot of significant avenues for millennials to pay attention to. But let's get a quick recap now in our Notes to Self feature. Well, Carlo, perhaps if you can give us a quick reminder of some of the key issues and financial matters that millennials who are watching tonight can actually jot down and pay attention to in their financial planning.
I think the key things for a millennial is to start off early. You know, that first paycheck is very important. Get used to the idea about savings. Savings, if you start it from the beginning, it's a lot easier than coming back a little bit later to actually do it. So that first paycheck, already start saving, because out of sight, out of mind, you already put it into your budget. You know you've got that as an expense. Makes it a lot easier. When we look at retirement savings is very important. We're going to be retired half the amount of time that we've been working. So every second day that we work in is actually for retirement. So
when you say that, it really puts it into perspective now.
It really does. I mean, we're working for 40 years, and 20 of those years, more than likely, we will be retired. So that's definitely a key issue, is to start your retirement savings early.
Exactly. Well, let's certainly hope that South African viewers out there will certainly heed the call, Carlo. Thank you so much for your time this evening. And again, to you as millennials who are watching, make sure that you do participate with us on social media platforms and share your views and insights on how you're managing to monitor your money situation. You can tweet us at CNBC Africa using the hashtag #FinanceForTwin. 410 or myself, Gugulethu on Twitter. But once more, a big thank you to my guest this evening, Carlo Gil, who's Executive Wealth Advisor at Liberty. Until next time, we wish you a wonderful evening.